Oh, I almost forgot my fork. There's a slight fall chill in the air, the dog days of summer are behind us, the blazers are back, and we've got some news to cover. I'm Marielle for Forkable News, and let's get right into today's good vegan news. We're back in Studio 1F. Our first story is a bit wild. Inside Tonka's life after Chimp Crazy. Vegan meals, painting, and lots of sex. Yes, this is a real headline, and while it may sound like it's describing the life of the average Totally Forkable subscriber, it is in fact about a chimp named Tonka. I decided not to watch Chimp Crazy for mental health reasons, and I've heard enough about the series to feel validated in my decision. If you're unfamiliar, the HBO series follows former nurse turned exotic animal broker Tanya Haddix, who refers to herself as the Dolly Parton of chimps, who spends her days caring for animals in captivity. However, her limitless love for one chimpanzee spins into a wild cat and mouse game with authorities and an animal rights group. The series was directed by the same director as Tiger King, and that's not where the similarities end. Tanya Haddix and Joe Exotic share not only a garishly bizarre sense of personal aesthetic expression, but also a delusionally unhinged entitlement to owning and profiting off of these exotic wild animals. Thankfully, the chimp at the center of Chimp Crazy, Tonka, is currently experiencing a happy ending. And no, that is not a reference to the title of the article. After being cloistered in a basement cage for nearly a year, Tonka just wanted to be outside. Though caretakers had set up a cozy space filled with hammocks and blankets for the chimpanzee, upon arrival at his new home, an ape sanctuary on Florida's Treasure Coast, he eschewed this private room. Instead, he wandered out into the rain and sat still, letting the water drench his body. This one's going to be nearly impossible to get through without crying, but again, I promise it's good news. It's been just over 2 years since Tonka arrived at Save the Chimps, a 150-acre parcel of protected land where 222 apes born in captivity have come to live out their retirement. Tonka was sent to the Fort Pierce, Florida sanctuary after PETA discovered his owner had been hiding him in the bowels of her Missouri home. Upon Tonka's rescue in June 2022, he was overweight. McDonald's Happy Meals were a regular part of his diet, and pale from being indoors. But he has developed deep friendships with 2 other chimps, Jake and Caleb, the latter of whom has since been discovered to be Tonka's biological son. I can get through it, I promise. Stoic. All of the male apes at the sanctuary receive vasectomies, but that does not preclude them from copulating. Copulating. It doesn't preclude them from okay? I must tell you, he's very interested in the females. Tonka is quite a ladies' man, Tavares, the CEO of Save the Chimps, says with a laugh. Whoever says vegans have no sex drive has clearly not visited Tonka and his friends. Otherwise, Tonka spends his days engaging in enrichment activities that have been specifically designed by the on-site primatologists to stimulate the chimps physically, cognitively, and emotionally. They paint, play with bubbles, and forage for food like frozen strawberries, string beans, and heads of lettuce. The entire population at Save the Chimps goes through 2,500 pounds of food a day, prepared by Jimmy Buffett's former chef. They eat a vegan diet and occasional healthy treats like watermelons on the 4th of July or apples covered in sugar-free caramel and nuts. Let's face it, these chimps are living better lives and eating better than a majority of the US population, and let's face it, they deserve every second of it. It was very upsetting for us to look at some of the scenes of Tonka in Chimp Crazy and see how upset he seemed to be in those poor conditions, Tavares says. If you could see him right now, he's super calm. Stoic. Do it for Tonka. If you see him right now, he's super calm. He seems to be living the life that he should be living. I am so happy for Tonka and his many happy endings that he seems to be having. But I have to be honest, I have mixed feelings about these sensational animal documentaries in general. On the one hand, they expose the people and practices at the center of these deeply unethical underground animal trades. But I sometimes wonder, does their popularity come from a place of genuine concern about these animals, or more from a perverse desire to gawk at and in some cases glorify the strange and corrupt humans at the center of these these scandals. But I have seen many conversations online in non-vegan spaces talking about this docuseries as heartbreaking. And as my subscriber Kaylin pointed out, it has seemed to slightly alter people's perceptions of PETA. Which is good, because as we know, the general public's perceptions of PETA tend to be worse than the conditions of the bowels of that Missouri home where poor Tonka was living. Ultimately, I believe this series and the discussion around it has given people a framework in which to consider the way humans relate to and treat animals. Most people who have watched the series seem to recognize that this level of control and inhumane treatment of a non-human animal is unequivocally wrong. So could this recognition be a stepping stone to people making connections to things like animal testing or breeding animals into captivity in our food system? I certainly hope so, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. In the meantime, I'm happy to see Tonka is living his best life. Next up, a story I think Tonka would really like. Forget Nathan's hot dogs, competitive eating is going bananas. Shout out to my subscriber Brittany for sending me this one. This summer in Pennsylvania, eager competitors lined up for the inaugural Dole's Great American Banana Challenge. The goal? Peel and eat as many bananas as possible in a little more than 2 minutes. Dole's banana eating contest is a key part of the Great American Banana Split celebration held in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, the birthplace of the banana split. This challenge aims to create a plant-based approach to events traditionally dominated by indulgent, meat-heavy competitions. I found this story to be a much-needed antidote to the Joey Chestnut Nathan's hot dog eating contest story from earlier this summer. The competition has clear parallels with Nathan's, yet the focus on bananas, globally popular for their versatility, nutrition, and ease of preparation, marks a significant shift in the competitive eating landscape. The goal was to create a variation on the American eating contest tradition that felt healthier and more nutrient-dense, and more in sync with Dole's overall mission of encouraging Americans to adopt a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. All the news surrounding Nathan's banning Joey from this year's competition proved to us just how much the public follows and cares about these contests. What if we could encourage the public to care as much about a competition involving the world's most popular fruit and one of the most purchased items in American supermarkets? I couldn't agree more with this sentiment. If we're going to insist as a society on watching people shove phallic foods in their mouths at rapid speed while undoubtedly inspiring countless others to do the same, let's at least make them not Group 1 carcinogens. Just a thought. Glad Dole thought of it. Happy to see this story. Next up, Beyond Meat to launch healthier, whole-cut mycelium-based steak. Beyond Meat will be launching a new whole-cut steak product made from mycelium as it seeks to bring in more health-conscious consumers, according to CNBC. The new steak product will be clean label, meaning it uses fewer and more natural ingredients that consumers would recognize. Meat made from mycelium or mycoprotein through fermentation is lauded for its meaty texture and health benefits. It's high in protein, fiber, and minerals, and low in carbohydrates, fats, and cholesterol. While Beyond Meat already sells seared steak tips, the new mycelium-based steak, which doesn't yet have a launch date, will also meet growing demand for whole-cut plant-based meat. Look, I love the concept of mycelium and mycoprotein. I respect it, I support it, but personally, I can't help but feel like a kid being tricked by their mom anytime someone tries to sell me on mycelium. You can call it whatever you want. As soon as my teeth hit that squishy, squeaky, mushroomy texture, I'm out. The plant-based meat industry has been battling what Beyond Meat called misinformation about its products being unhealthy. To win over wary consumers, Beyond Meat has recently reoriented its marketing strategy and product focus around the health benefits of plant-based diets. Previously, it had put a bigger emphasis on cutting greenhouse gas emissions through meat alternatives. They seem to be making their way around the triangle of reasons for a plant-based diet. First environment, now health. I wonder if next they'll reorient around animal ethics. Just kidding. I think we all know they're not going to do that. As covered in a previous Good Vegan News episode, earlier this year the company launched new versions of its burger patties and sausages using avocado oil to lower the saturated fat and with less salt. It also launched the Beyond Sun sausage, made from ingredients such as fava beans, lentils, and yellow peas, in a departure from its classic meat-mimicking offerings. I didn't even know about the Sun sausage and still haven't tried the avocado oil meats, but let me know if you have. As part of its new health focus, Beyond Meat's launch of its whole-cut steak will likely see it served in a restaurant chain known for healthy food. This is a change from its previous strategy of partnering with fast food outlets like McDonald's. Maybe it's just me that feels this way, but in the last year, Beyond Meat seems to be employing a new strategy of becoming an entirely different company. Not that I'm mad about it, I've been honest about the fact that I really went off their products sometime around the 2019 reformulation, the meatier than ever era. And I do think the new formulas sound more up my alley, taste and texture-wise, mycelium aside. And who knows, maybe this horseshoe trajectory they seem to be on will one day bring us back to the original Beyond Chicken strips? It's highly unlikely, but let me have my dream. Before we move on, if you're enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like more from me, you can check out my Patreon, where you can get exclusive content and perks, like videos, podcasts, Discord access, and more. Most recently, I posted a reaction video to a From the Vault Maine vlog that I filmed in 2018 and had never seen the light of day. If you're interested, head to this link to sign up and check it all out. Next up, Krispy Kreme launches 3 new vegan donuts. Whoa! In the UK. Multinational donut chain Krispy Kreme has launched 3 new vegan flavors in the UK, taking the total number of plant-based options on offer to 9. Wow, 9 vegan flavors in the UK? That's awesome. How many vegan flavors do we have in the US? Don't answer that. It was a rhetorical question that we all know the answer to. If you don't know, I'll give you a little hint. The answer is donut-shaped. But what's that? Oh no, don't worry. They do have vegan drink options. You know, the thing we all go to Krispy Kreme for. Coffee and tea drinks. And just for fun, because we love doing fun little things like this on this channel, let's take a look at what the US-based Krispy Kreme FAQ page has to say on the topic. The only animal byproducts used in our donuts are eggs, whites and yolks, and dairy products, including milk, butter, yogurt, whey, non-fat milk, and non-fat whey. Wow, that's it? That's great. I mean, at least they don't use goat milk, chicken, pork, beef, or fish in their donuts. You gotta start somewhere, right? Sometimes when we're scraping for the good vegan news stories, we gotta take the wins where we can get them. Thank you, Krispy Kreme US, for only using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different types of animal products in your donuts. Back to the UK though, because let's let them have their moment, even though they've had a number of moments already this year. The new flavors are Cinnamon Swirl, Blueberry Bubble Bliss, and Salted Caramel Sensation, all of which have been certified by the Vegan Society. Krispy Kreme UK and Ireland launched its first ever vegan donut, the Original Glazed, for Veganuary 2021. This was followed by 3 more flavors in January 2022, and several others in the subsequent months and years. Last year, Krispy Kreme Australia introduced its first plant-based options to celebrate World Vegan Day on November 1st. 2 flavors, Fudge Brownie Bliss and Apple Custard Crumble, were launched, with the latter becoming a permanent menu addition. I don't even particularly like donuts, but I find myself scratching my head once again at yet another US-based company refusing to offer vegan options in their home country. It's yet another reminder of how hostile the US is to vegan food, or maybe just veganism in general. Not that it's never hit me before, because of course it has. You've seen my other videos. But wow, corporations in the US really do not want to give us much. Or at best, they'll do a tepid test and then retire it, being like, it wasn't really a success. Yeah, because you rolled it out in like 2 random cities, didn't market it very well, and didn't even make it completely vegan. Gee, I wonder why. It's a gigantic mystery. If I'm being honest, I was quite radicalized seeing the UK vegan McDonald's menu when I looked it up for a Good Vegan News video a couple months ago. And I know the issue is manifold, but the more of these stories I see, the experience I had of going to a London vegan Starbucks and seeing the difference for myself, it's honestly starting to feel like a true crime series that I and I alone need to solve. But in the meantime, UK Forks, I'm so happy for you guys. Please go and get a Vegan Society's approved Krispy Kreme donut and let us all know how it is. And now let's bring it stateside for some good vegan news that actually does affect us. Armored Fresh files patent for plant-based grated cheese, vegan Parmesan arriving this fall. Zero-dairy food tech company Armored Fresh, known for its fermented almond and oat-based cheeses, continues to innovate in manufacturing to create products that rival the taste and texture of traditional dairy cheese. I had never heard of this brand, which makes sense because according to their online store locator, they are sold in many places in the US but haven't quite made their way to New England. The South Korean company operating in the US announces that it has filed a new patent for a technology that mimics the process process of grating traditional hard-aged cheeses. Instead of using the standard spray drying process for grated plant-based cheese, which involves a liquid mixture that is then atomized into particles, the food tech company creates cheese blocks and physically grates them. This method achieves a more authentic taste and texture. Besides this innovation, the South Korean food tech has developed a natural fermentation process using lactic acid bacteria, a method for making vegetable cheese that provides guidelines on cooking temperature, cooling, and other processes to replicate and enhance the aroma of cheese, and a protocol that assesses the taste, texture, and aging profiles of renowned global cheeses, enabling continuous improvements in the taste and flavor of its products. To date, it has launched cubes, slices, shreds, and spreads at select retailers nationwide. I'm always happy to see innovation in the vegan cheese world because, let's face it, vegan cheese has tended to be the red-hatted stepchild of animal product alternatives. Some we love, while others we tolerate. But I think we can all agree that hard cheeses have been a weak point. So what Armored Fresh is doing sounds promising and intriguing. Side note though, I'm not even sure what this is supposed to be, but if it's supposed to look appetizing, it is missing the mark a bit for me. Let me know if you've tried Armored Fresh and what you think. This next story was really pretty shocking to me. New USDA rules expand vegan options in school meals. USDA's new school meal standards will give greater access to nutritious foods for vegetarian and vegan children and those with dietary restrictions. This is an important step as research indicates that school meals are American school children's most important food source. The new rules, which took effect on July 1st, 2024, were released by USDA's Food and Nutrition Service, FNS, consistent with the 2020 to 2025 dietary guidelines for Americans. They aim to improve the nutritional quality of school meals and other USDA child nutrition programs. Under the new rules, schools can combine grains, meats, and meat alternatives as meal components. Beans, peas, and lentils can replace meat at lunch, and cafeterias can offer dishes such as black bean burgers, stir-fried with tofu, falafel pita, and pepper slices with hummus. If you're like me, you were sort of like this, reading this. But basically, what I've deduced is that students are potentially going to be offered a lot more legumes in school lunches. Another gain is that bean dip, including hummus, is now exempt from the total fat standard. This exemption applies to dips made from beans, peas, or lentils. Schools can now sell bean dip as a smart snack, but are not required to make this change. The proposal to exempt hummus was widely supported, highlighting its nutritional value, fiber, protein, iron, magnesium, and healthy fats. The USDA explains that bean dip was chosen over hummus to provide clarity and inclusivity for various bean-based dips. We might not be able to agree on many things as carnists and vegans, but at least we can all agree on hummus. Whoever commented about chickpeas being the gateway bean on my last video was spot on. Previously, nuts and seeds were required to be served alongside other meat/meat alternatives, but now they can fully meet the meats/meat alternative component for all meal types, breakfast, lunch, and supper, in the USDA child nutrition programs and at snack times. Program operators can choose to meet the full component with nuts and seeds or combine them. According to the USDA, stakeholders largely supported the change, emphasizing the nutritional benefits of nuts and seeds, such as protein, vitamin E, fiber, minerals, and healthy fats. While I'm still a bit confused on the specifics of how these new guidelines will be implemented, it's definitely good to hear that legumes are being recognized by the USDA as worthy alternatives to meat for children. And from children to criminals, the good news just keeps rolling in. US House Reps write to Bureau of Prisons to increase plant-based meals for inmates. A group of lawmakers in the US are calling for federal prisoners to be provided with more meatless options, highlighting better health outcomes for inmates and lower costs for prisons. In a letter addressed to the Bureau of Prisons, BOP, 26 House Democrats from across the US, led by California Representatives Adam Schiff and Julia Brownlee, are urging the federal agency to include more meatless foods for breakfast and ensure healthier vegetarian choices on its national menu. Currently, the BOP's food service manual requires a no-flesh, meat-free option at both noon and evening meals, but the policymakers believe further action to support plant-forward dining could improve inmate health, lower dining costs, and better meet the diverse dietary needs of inmates. Expanding access to plant-based dining options at all mealtimes will give inmates meaningful options through which they can exert control over their own health, said Madeline Bennett, a food system and nutrition policy analyst at public health nonprofit Balanced. Though plant-based meals are no panacea panacea, inmates having consistent access to such options would be an impactful corrective to the current insufficiencies of federal prison food service, she added. Basically, we all know the food sucks, so it may as well be healthy and suck. As you know, federal prisons house inmates who suffer from chronic and diet-related health conditions at or above the rates among age, race, and sex-matched populations within the general public, the letter reads. However, inmates have far lower access to preventive lifestyle measures and pharmacological treatments while in prison, which together contribute to excess mortality from nearly all major causes of death in the years following their release. Inmates in federal prisons have little to no control over their diets and therefore diminished agency to make positive health changes. Providing plant-based meals in prisons is the prescription for helping inmates prevent and treat diet-related diseases like diabetes and heart disease, added PCRM Neil Barnard. Dr. Barnard, what are you doing here? The article goes on to tout the cost-saving benefits to prisons of adding more plant-based options, yet another reason to consider the change. It was very strange timing for me to find this article because just a few days prior I had seen this Reddit post which kind of reads like a horror movie script. I, vegan, went to jail for 60 days, barely had anything to eat. In all seriousness, it was fascinating to read about this vegan's experience in jail, and the post ends with this plea. Can we petition for more vegan options in jail or something? I'm left with little choice but to believe that Adam Schiff and I must have the same Reddit algorithm. In all seriousness, there are a lot of compelling and important conversations around prison reform, and I personally think that changes like the ones proposed here are incredibly important and could lead to positive outcomes on a multitude of levels. Let's end with a couple delicious quick bites. Top Vegan Season 2 premieres September 26th. Thank you again to Brittany for sending me this one. Building on the success of its first season, Top Vegan is back with a fresh lineup of contestants from across North America and Central America. 8 talented chefs will compete for the coveted title of Top Vegan and a grand prize of $20,000. I think I speak for most vegans when I say we have been yearning for a vegan cooking competition show for years. If you missed it, last year I reacted to the first episode of Season 1 of Top Vegan, and I really liked it, so I'm excited it's back, and if you missed it, go catch up on Season 1 in preparation for Season 2. Frito-Lay's cult favorite cheese puff brand Cheetos has at last gone plant-based with a new vegan Vegetalien white cheddar Blanc launched exclusively in Canada for a limited time. This story really went under the radar. I've barely heard anything about it, even though I think it is very exciting and very good news. So Canadian Forks, please report back. Vegan Chinese eatery up for Uber Eats Restaurant of the Year. Tofu Vegan, which operates several branches in London, is in with a chance of winning the $100,000 investment prize money. This was one of the most highly recommended London vegan spots that I sadly didn't make it to on my last trip, but will definitely be prioritizing in the future. Another plant-based restaurant, Halo Burger, is also on the list of finalists. People in the UK can vote for their favorite restaurants on the Uber Eats website until October 4th. To my UK-based forks, you know what to do. Vote. Also, please do us all a favor and hit these restaurants up and let us know what you got, how they were, all the details, and as a bonus, send pictures and I will post them on the community tab, so we can all drool over them in envy. And those are all of our stories for today. I hope you enjoyed this good vegan news roundup. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and let us know what you thought of today's stories in the comments below. Subscribe for more of my videos, check out Patreon for even more from me. A very special thank you to my Fancy Fork patrons Claudia, Regina, and Snowy Winter. Again, I'm Marielle for Forkable News. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.